another episode of the Devil's Bit podcast, Ireland's fastest growing Man United fan podcast. You're here with me, Rudy, and Glenn. Glenn, what's the fucking crack?
Good, man. This weather is unbelievable, isn't it? I'm loving it.
Tell me about it.
Whew.
I can see the red on your nose, man.
What?
We can see the red on your nose.
Alrighty, man. I'll tell you, like it was that communion party on Sunday that we were at, man. It was the Sunday, and it hasn't stopped all week. And it's one of the it's the type of weather that if you don't go out in it, you're sitting there feeling guilty for not being out in it. You know that way. So make the most of it is what I say.
Listen, Glenn, I wasn't at any communion party there. I don't think they're allowed.
Oh yeah. Was it a mass? Was it a mass?
It was a mass. Yeah.
Yeah.
After
That's
mass,
what we were at. We were at a mass.
Pretty crack all the same, those masses, aren't they?
Oh yeah, stop. It's the best mass we've ever been to. It's not the best thing was there was no collection boxes or that going around. Do you know what I mean? Just sit there, please.
No, none of that. Not in the masses we go to anyway. So this week, Glenn, no flip-flopping about. I think we're going to steer clear of Varan and we're going to steer clear of Jadon Sancho. We do just want to say that there's a bit of mix-up in the Jadon Sancho contract. Somewhere along the line, something was miswritten, or not too sure of the specifics. But it looks like it's going to be announced this weekend that he's fully signed for Man United. So that's all the news we're going to give on that. We've been talking about Sancho and Varan to beat the band. Can't get enough of them, Glenn. We're not going to keep going on.
So basically, the Sancho transfer saga is now turned into the Sancho announcement saga. Man,
there you go.
It's like the gods don't want this to happen or something.
There's nothing else to talk about.
No.
So this week we're going to do a bit of keep, loan, or sell, and we're going to look at the players who are currently ifs or buts at United, or that we think are ifs or buts. And then we're going to say our opinions on whether we should keep them, throw them out on loan, or sell them for good.
Yeah.
So, Glenn, let's kick right off into it with our favourite centre-back, Lindelof.
Lindelof,
yeah.
Jesus. I'd keep him. I'd keep Lindelof. Obviously, you know, you'd love to get another centre-back in there, but I do think that Lindelof would add a little bit of squad depth. Probably not for the more physical games in the Premier League, but maybe for them European games. I felt like last season in the Europa League he was decent. I think we've seen some of his best performances in the Europa League, and I know the Champions League is way different than the Europa League, but I think he might come in useful in that competition. So yeah, I wouldn't rush into getting rid of him. He's definitely a keep for the moment. Yeah,
you reckon?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, what would be the sense now? Like, one of the things we've missed is squad depth. We haven't had it. If we can get that other centre back in and the centre back that we all want and what's been talked about, then you know what I mean. Why not have Lindelof there just as cover? Do you know that way?
Yeah, you say that, but the way I see it is, I would prefer Tuanzebe to be in there ahead of Lindelof. So if it was a case where that had to happen, where I wanted Tuanzebe in, the only way that's going to happen is if Lindelof's out of the picture, then I'd be full on for selling Lindelof. So that's my thought around it, because there is talk of Tuanzebe going out on loan. And I suppose we might get straight into Tuanzebe then, Glenn. What's your opinion on him? Keep, loan, or sell?
Well, I suppose it's up to him, really, isn't it? He's making all the noises at the moment that he wants to go out on loan. So obviously he feels that his game time is going to be limited this season, which is probably not what you want to hear when you're a player of his caliber. I think he's brilliant. I always go back to the game against PSG because, you know, you have to remember he was out injured for a long time, and he came back in and he done real well, and then he was taken out of the team straight away. And I think that's something that Ollie might have gotten wrong during last season. He should have probably given him, you know, because he played so well, kept him in the team. But you can see that Ollie trusts Lindelof a lot, and that's why I'd say keep Lindelof and Tuanzebe to go out on loan. Although I do think if Tuanzebe does go out on loan, this has to be his last loan deal. Do you know what I mean? Then a decision has to be made. Is he going to be available? Or does Ollie and the backroom staff now think that he's capable of playing in the first team on a consistent basis? Because at the moment, as we said, he's looking that he wants to go out on loan, so he wants to play. That's a good sign. So I don't think he's ever going to be happy to be sitting on the bench for us, which is I think is a good thing. No player wants to sit on the bench, and I just feel like that. If you're going to have players like Lindelof ahead of him, then the best thing to do is send him out on loan, and then his last loan deal, and see where we go from there. But I'd love to see him in the first team in the next couple of years. I definitely think.
You know what's strange? You're saying there, like, came on against PSG, played very well. All he should have given him a chance.
Started against PSG, yeah.
Oh, sorry, came on, started.
Don't worry,
Look, and he wasn't given that opportunity really to fight for his position, you could say.
Yeah.
But then Henderson's in goal, has a few good games, and he's fighting for a position that only one man can do. Like,
yeah, I think.
And we always come back to the inconsistency, and I won't get into it too much, but I think it's a bit unfair on certain players. Like, all these kind of picking and choosing, like, who gets a chance, what positions get a chance to be fought for. It's just a lot. But for Tuanzebe, I would say keep if we were selling Lindelof.
Yeah, but as I said, Rory, at the moment you can't see that happening. I just think you don't want to end up in a situation like, and I know it's probably improbable at the moment, but look at what happened to Liverpool last season. Like, really, Van Dijk and Gomez out injured, our two main centre backs, and then they were struggling all over the pitch. Then, really, do you know what I mean? There was a ripple effect on that. They were putting the likes of Fabinho and all down at the back, which was affecting them in midfield. We don't want to go down that route. I'd rather have a centre back that knows the position than to be mixing and matching. And I think Tuanzebe's time is just to go back out on loan and show Ollie and us what he's capable of. But I do see Tuanzebe as part of the United team going forward. I do. But I do think at the same time it's a huge season for him if he does go out on loan. Do you know that way?
Yeah. Right, yeah. No, that's a fair point. And I suppose coming to the next one, which bit of shocker that it's on the list because he was a star during 2021 there. But Jones.
Jones, yeah.
What do you think, Glenn? He's definitely a keeper.
Look, Roddy, Alex Ferguson was quoted as saying that he was going to be he had the potential of being the best ever Manchester United player, which is something that you hear and you sort of think, was he talking about the same player that we think of now? Obviously he wasn't, but you'd have to turn around and say, yeah, obviously you want to sell him. You know what I mean? Get rid of that wage bill, but also you want to be thinking as well and saying to yourself, like, does Phil Jones want to move? Does he want to go and play football? Yeah. Do you know that way? Like, what's his reputation going to be like, or what's he going to be thought of when he finishes playing the game? Do you know what I mean? Like, he hasn't played in a long time anyway. So he definitely should for his own sake. Do you know what the
crack is with his contract? It was renewed recently enough, was it?
It was renewed when Ollie got in. He signed a 5-year deal when Ollie got in, and I think everyone thought that was strange at the time. Everybody. I don't think Phil Jones could believe what was going on. Do you know what I mean? I'd say he snapped the hand off. But look, the chap's a walking man. You look all over social media, there's pictures of him heading the floor and them mad faces he makes and all. And I know that's probably nothing got to do with the face he makes, nothing got to do with football, but like, I think the problem with Phil Jones is I think he actually thinks that if he was put up for sale, that no one would come in from of significance. I think he'd probably drop a couple of divisions. And I think that in itself would be a little bit embarrassing, maybe, you know what I mean? But this is a player that said that he doesn't even want to go to his own testimonial. He wouldn't accept the testimonial because he didn't think anyone would turn up. So it shows you sort of where his confidence is and what he thinks about himself at the club. But, you know, look at it. If you're there playing for United, you're watching some of the best players train, play, your front row seats nearly every week. You're getting a lovely wage off them. What do you do? Do you know what I mean? I think it's up to the club maybe to just turn around and tell them, listen, it's time to go, mate.
Yeah.
Jog on, Phil.
Yeah. Jog on is right. We'll keep moving through the back there. Bailey, Glenn. Now, I really liked Bailey when I saw him play last year. Prone to injuries, but what are you saying? If you had to keep loan or sell Bailey?
I'm going to go with sell.
Sell?
I'm going to go with sell, yeah. Well, yeah.
Jesus, that's controversial.
The simple reason is, Rory, he hasn't got onto the pitch enough. He hasn't got onto the pitch enough since he's been there. I know last season he done very, very well when he did come on, but you could see again that I don't know whether it's a trust issue, but anytime Lindelof was fit, he was back into the team. I don't think he done too much wrong in the Europa League final, but there was talk there of maybe a swap deal involving him and Pau Torres. Obviously, Bally used to play for Villarreal, so it was probably an easy decision, you know what I mean, or an easy move to make. But that sort of, died down and all them rumours. So, yeah, I'd let him go because at the end of the day, he's made a Weetabix. He does carry an injury all the time, which is it's horrible in a way because you look at him, big, strong specimen, covers ground, a lot of pace. But you want him to go on the pitch more than you got to run the games going 10, 11 games going straight. And I know sometimes probably that hasn't been his fault, but more often than not, Rory, he's been injured. That stopped him from getting a consistent run of games as well. So if you're keeping Lindelof, which I says that I would, then I'd let Bally go.
Okay.
What would you
You're talking about squad depth there, so you're getting rid of Jones, you're keeping Lindelof, and you're throwing Tuanzebe out on loan, and then you're selling Bally. Like, where's your squad depth?
Well, you're saying you've Varan, you've Lindelof, you still have that young Flamengi there as well. You know what I mean? Like, I said Tuanzebe already because he wants to go out on loan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I just feel like that. There's a chance for us to probably cash in on Bally. You have to look at it as well. Like there's players there that probably have to be moved on so we can, get some money into the transfer kitty to bring in, more players. Like we probably need to freshen it up a little bit more than we have. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're looking at players that have been here for a long time and haven't achieved half as much as they should have. And you look at Jones and you look at Bally, and the one thing they have in common is they're injury prone.
Mm.
So you don't want to have too many of them players on your books.
Yeah, grand, makes sense, Glenn. Moving on then, Portuguese national Diogo Dalot. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd keep him. I think we're in the market for a right back. People are talking about Trippier and all. Yeah. There's all sorts of figures getting pushed around about him. But I think Dalot's probably done enough of it in AC Milan to suggest that he could come over here and push Wan-Bissaka for a starting place. I don't think, you know what I mean, Wan-Bissaka knows we pushed our joints too much with Dalot there, but you probably just want to see what happened with Luke Shaw and Tellez really happened with Wan-Bissaka, just for him to know that there is another player there that can come in and play. And you have to remember, I think Dalot's delivery is better than Wan-Bissaka's. Do you know what I mean? Like, he does.
That wouldn't be too hard, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, but I just think maybe the right back position can be a position that we probably don't need to, fill in yet at the moment. We could get a season now with Dalot, I think, as cover for Wan-Bissaka, and maybe have a deeper look in the market for a right back during the season. Someone might pop up younger than Trippier. I know he's only 30. But you might get a good decent right back out there in early 20s or mid 20s, that you'd have for a lot longer. Do you know what I mean? Like, that you might get for less wages. So I'd say keep Dalot. Give him a chance. I'd like to see him get a chance under Ollie. I remember when Mourinho bought him in, because it was Mourinho that got him in. He says that Dalot was going to be the right back at United for the next 10 years. That's huge. It's a huge thing to be put on your shoulders. And he done decent at AC Milan last season as well. Not too much, but let's see what he has.
Yeah, I'm on the same line as you there, Glenn. I think he deserves a shot. I think Wan-Bissaka was a bit weak there towards the end of the season. He did kind of peak, and then he kind of lost it then towards the end. So I'd be well open for that, giving Wan-Bissaka a bit of a push, just like Luke Shaw was getting a push with Tellez.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it'd be good for them. So moving on then, Williams, who does look like he's going out on loan. I'd say it's probably not a bad idea. I'd put him out on loan. He's a young lad. Plenty of time, needs to build up some skills, maybe a bit of strength for playing that position. Although he can play both, can't he? Can't he play right and left?
Yeah, he can play right and left back. Mm-hmm. This one's a tough one, Rory, because I don't think that he's going to be able to forge a career out at us. I just don't see it. I think
where do you see him going?
What?
Where do you see him going?
I don't, Rory, to be honest with you, I don't know, Southampton, and I'm saying Southampton because they were in for them for a loan deal. I sort of see him like Kieran Gibbs, who was left back for Arsenal, and then he went to West Brom, and he wasn't good enough for Arsenal, and West Brom got relegated. Do you know that way? Look, and I see Williams in that sort of mould. I think he'll have a career and a good career, but I just don't see it being at United. I don't see. Look, I mean, he came into the team and played in his fourth season. Now I could be wrong about this, but I'm sure I read that in his fourth season it was 50 games or something he played in over the whole season under Ollie. And then the second season, last season, it was less than half that. So that's a huge drop off. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you can see there that Ollie didn't really want them there as a left back with Telles and Shaw there, and then you're looking at the right back position, Wan-Bissaka there on his own. As you said, they faded out at the end of the season, just down to tiredness, playing every game. Williams played a couple of games, came on for a couple of games, but he didn't really show anything that you turn around and say, yeah, he could nail down that position, or he could put heat on Wan-Bissaka. And that could be down to a number of things. It could be down to the fact that maybe his confidence is a little bit low because he wasn't getting enough chances or whatever, or the games he was coming on in. I mean, I think he came on against Roma, I think, in the first leg at Old Trafford, like, do you know what I mean? Which he didn't have his best game in that one. Roma came back into that game. So, yeah, I'm going to say loan. A loan move for him, loan. Although I don't want to say sell, just because I can change. But at the moment, loan the mount. But again, this would have to be his first and only loan, really. If he wasn't going to come back next season to challenge for a place, you'd have to get rid of him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, we're on the same page there. Telles. Now, it looks like Telles might be going on loan. There was talk of anyway. I think Ollie's not too keen on it. Wanting that bit of depth in the squad, like you said, have an extra left back there. I would be inclined to keep Telles. I think he's a good player. Like some of the other players in this list, he didn't get enough game time. We didn't need him. Luke Shaw was on fire. But if Luke Shaw was to get injured, you want a player like Telles to come in and fill those that spot. Took a really good free kick as well against Derby there on the weekend. So he has a few things he can do, like pull out of his pocket. How are you feeling about Telles?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd like to keep him as well, and I think Ollie will keep him. I know he was linked with a move there to Roma to join Jose and all, but fuck Jose. Fuck Roma. No, definitely, because you know what it is, Rory, like, he's coming in from the Portuguese league, coming in from Portugal, Porto, joined from Porto, and at the time he was basically brought in to be the number one left back. That's what it was looking at. Do you know what I mean? And then you have Luke Shaw, who had the season of his life. Definitely put himself out there as one of the best left back in Europe. And I know it's only one really, really good season, so you have to tread carefully when you say that. But after the Euros he's had and all, do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's been absolutely brilliant. So you'd have to look and say Telles was just a little bit unlucky with that, because any player that hits the form that Luke Shaw hit, you have to start them. Yeah. And it's his first year in England as well, it was for Telles. So I'd like to see what he has to offer now this season. Do you know what I mean? And I think I read that him and Luke Shaw have a good relationship and everything. Do you know what I mean? And I think that does help as well when it's a healthy competition for places. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think Telles had a big part to play in Luke Shaw having the season he had. It gave Luke Shaw to kick up the hole that he needed. So yeah, keep Telles and let's see what he has to offer.
Yeah, happy days. You mentioned the Mengi. What do you think?
Right, this one's going to sound a bit mad, but because we were talking about squad depth, I would keep him. I would have him in and around the first team as often as we can. Probably not, obviously not starting. Again, it comes down to the fact that if we get centre backs that we're after, you know what I mean? But have him in and around that, so he's learning all the time. Training with the squad, get him in them Carling Cup games. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And see what he has to offer. But he's highly rated, Roddy. Highly rated. And I know that he was on loan at Derby last season and done well. I think it was for the second part of last season. And Derby, they couldn't sign players because there's stuff going on with them and the Championship. So I think now they can sign players, so I reckon that Derby will be in for another loan move for him. But if Tuanzebe goes out, and I did say Bally was being sold, I'd sell Bally. So yeah, I'd keep Mengi in and around the squad. Do you know what I mean? Have him learning off the first timers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Longley. I want to keep Tuanzebe if that's the way I'm going. But I wouldn't rate him higher than Tuanzebe at this point.
No, Roddy, but I just feel like if Tuanzebe wants to go out on loan, it's hard to change a player's mind because he's again with Tuanzebe, he's probably saying to himself, "I'm not going to get the game time I think I deserve here." So
yeah,
how do you convince a player that's saying, "Listen, I want to be part of the club, but I also want to, progress in my position and learn. So I want to go out on loan." How do you stop a player? And, like, the only way you can sort of stop him is to say, "Listen, I'm going to give you more game time." Is all you're going to be willing to do that? I don't think so. So it's probably easier to do that with Mengi than it would be with Tuanzebe.
If you gave Tuanzebe the Carling Cup, maybe start the FA Cup, bit of the Champions League, is that going to make him happy, or are you thinking he wants to start every game?
No, I think he's at an age now where he's at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's been out on loan already to Aston Villa, came back, looked very good at Aston Villa, came back to us. I think he's done well. There was a couple of mistakes in there last season. Okay, do you know what I mean? Like, I think he's handled himself well from that. And I just think now like that if he doesn't get game time this year, proper game time, he might, go into himself. He won't be progressing. And I think we need to see that. I think he needs to see it. I think he just needs a little bit of a reminder of what he can actually deal with a consistent run of games. I wouldn't mind seeing him go to Newcastle because they've been looking at that and saying that they might, they're interested in him. You know what I mean? They're going to come under a lot of pressure this season. They're going to need someone solid at the back. So that'd be a huge test for Tuanzebe as well. So I'm picking Mengi to stay because I know Tuanzebe wants to leave. So I'm trying to balance it out that way. But if it was the other way around and Tuanzebe was willing to stay and, was happy with not getting as much game time, then you'd send Mengi out on loan, no problem.
Yeah, but given what Tuanzebe saying, okay, that makes sense, Ken. Then I suppose moving into the midfield, who we start with here? We start with James Garner.
Yeah, Garner.
What are you thinking on him now, Glenn?
Loan. The reason why I say that is because he done well out on loan last season at Notts Forest. So I'm thinking of saying Championship side, done real well. Bring him up to a Premier League side. See what he has to offer on the Premier League over a 38 game season. And again, like, you know what I mean, that's not saying he's not good enough for United. I just think when you have that progression going on, do you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't do him any harm to go back out and battle it out week in, week out. Do you know what I mean? Because again, he still has to prove to the club that he's one for the future. Do you know what I mean? Like, so loan him out. Loan him out.
He's only a young fella as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he got 4 goals with Nottingham Forest, I think it was. I think you're right. I think he's young. I think our midfield is packed.
Yeah.
And I reckon,
Again, Roddy, how do you get in front of the likes of Bruno, Scott McTominay, Fred, Van der Beek, Pogba if he's still there? Do you know what I mean? That's why I think young players will be looking at. I think he'll be looking at that. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to get ahead of them from training with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like what they say to the schoolboy kids, you turn up training, you get your game. It's not like that, you know what I mean? He won't get ahead of them. So he's a chance to go out on loan, prove himself with a Premier League side. Shows what he can do. But I think, again, he has a big future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Because I think last season in the Championship's very hard, Rory. Very hard leg, like. Everyone's scrapping to get back into the Premier League. It's a long haul season. There's 46 games in it. Then you have your playoffs and all that. Two games in the semi-finals and then the final. It's a long, hard season if you go the distance with it. So, I think he'd be well suited to go to a Premier League team now and do well. On loan, of course.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'd say the same. Premier League, maybe just a force league. Germany, Spain, Italy. Don't know who'll take him over there, but just
Yeah,
maybe see some UEFA Cup
yeah.
action. You know what I mean? Bit of Europe at a young age, doing no harm. Then moving on to a big name, controversial name, we're always chatting about him, Paul Pogba. My opinion, Glenn, I do like him. I think he has a lot. I don't think he fits in to Premier League football. I think he doesn't want it. So I would sell him at this point. He only has a year contract left. We don't want to lose money on him. There's something to be gained this year from letting him go. I don't. Is he going to sign another contract? You don't. Are we going to really go through all that again?
Well, there's talk of PSG now saying they want them this summer. They're
Yeah.
in for him. Apparently, this came out today. You know what I mean. So Raiola looks like he's been over there shopping him about already. Look, come
Wouldn't
out,
be like him.
get him out. 50 million. That's all we're going to really get from him if they want to pay it. And get him off the books. This has been an issue with Pogba ever since he came back. Every summer transfer window does something about it. You know what I mean? He's mistreated the club badly. And the thing is, when you go back to his first stint, it's a young boy. There's an agent there, the super agent, manipulating the situation, trying to get more money out of the club, whatever. Frankie didn't want that to happen. He goes to Juventus. But you'd like to think that, since then, he's learned what the crack is and how you go about your business. And I just like to hear it from the horse's mouth, really. Straight out terms, Rory. Not none of this, I've achieved everything I can achieve and maybe it's time for a new challenge. Just come out and say it. I want to live. Just do that. And that settles everything then. That tells the club he wants to go. The way we're going and the direction we're going in, do you want a player that doesn't want to be in that dressing room? No, you don't. So let him come out and say it. So all you can turn around and say to the Glazers or Woodward or Murdo or whoever, get him out. Cash in on him and get him out. Because I'll tell you, if he's not happy, Rory, there's an issue there now going into next season already. And it's been an issue since he's been back at the club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And as soon as things don't start going right, all his shit's going to start back up. You have brothers, agents, God knows whoever else coming out saying that they don't think Pogba should be at the club and all. So, you know what I mean? If you want a fresh start and you want to build on the success of last season in terms of where we finished in the league, then you want a clean slate. You want players in there that are going to go into the trenches for you and that they don't worry about contracts. Because as I said to you, I was one of them that did say, let them rot in the reserves and all. But when you go into it, negotiating with a club in January, because that's what he'd be able to do and all, what does that do? It's not good either way. If we're doing well, it takes away from that. If we're doing bad, it just adds to it. So, you know what I mean? Cash in on him and get him out. But I'd love to hear it from the horse's mouth that I want to live. Just be man enough to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's always a touchy one with you, Glenn, I suppose.
I know, bloody. Honestly, I could talk. Honestly, like it's one of them things that you don't talk about every day. Do you know what I mean? You try and avoid it, but when it comes up, there's just so much there. Like you're just like, how does this fella think he is? And
well, I mean, he is a great footballer, Glenn. You know what I mean? But
that wants to go.
He has the attitude to go
Rory,
with it.
Exactly. He hasn't got the attitude, and that attitude belongs at PSG with the likes of Neymar, who wants to roll around on the ground 500 times after getting tackled and all, and get paid 220 grand a week for it. Do you know what I mean? They didn't win the league last season. Lille beat them to it, but I guarantee you this season they'll win it, and I guarantee you next season they'll win it, and the season after that. Every couple of seasons the motivation goes because you know what I mean. Obviously, it does when you're winning it back to back.
That's healthy competition as well. I think with Pogba, Glenn, we'd like to see him go. The drama that he brings to certain situations, as we saw last year, I think it influences other players in the team to think that's how they have to get noticed. So, happened with Pogba, then it happened with Cavani. And when it was happening with Cavani, everyone was like, this is a bit strange. Like, it's kind of like Pogba's situation, like just 10 times less. You know what I mean? Is this what players at United have to do to get hurt? So I'd like to see that kind of mentality disappear, or that approach to how players handle themselves or their careers at United, where it's not doesn't have to go into the media for anything to get done.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons as well. And sure, that's down to his agent, you know, who
It's
he's
down to both of them, Rory. It's both of them. Look,
it's a
if
relationship that
I'm
they have,
representing
whatever
you,
it is.
if I'm representing you, and I'm coming out and I'm putting pressure on you in your job with what I'm saying, and I'm not telling you I'm going to say it, and you're not telling me to say it, are you going to tell me then? Chase, that was like a bit of a riddle there.
Oh, I'm confused there. Who's telling you what?
Are you going to tell me to shut up or keep doing what I'm doing if I'm talking and you don't want me to talk? Basically, that's what I'm saying. And I'm guessing, without you even saying that to me, that you would say, Glenn, shut your mouth.
Riddle me this, riddle me that, or can we leave the riddle for a different day? It's too hot. So we'll skip ahead then to Lingard, who made an appearance there against Derby for the first time in a long while in the United jersey. Did quite well, Glenn. I think he came on second half, was it?
I only seen highlights, Rory.
Oh, right.
That was the day of the mass, man. That was the day of the mass.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he did anyway. And he had a good stint like when he was on. So all he said, he wants to keep him this year. He's not going back to West Ham. I think that's a great idea. He's in form. It could be the same as Tuanzebe, though he doesn't really want to be at United. But I think with young blood coming in, you see Sancho, Rashford, I hope is going to try and prove himself. I know he has that injury after the surgery. He has some rest time. Then you have Greenwood in there, and they're getting coached by Cavani. I think there's real opportunity for the younger players at United to make a good impression. I think Lingard is definitely one of them. And I think at United, he'll definitely get into the English team, which will just up his confidence even more. But maybe not at West. That probably won't happen at West Ham.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to say sell. And the reason is because you're like everybody else. You see Lingard as a young player. Chap's 28. You know what I mean? Like, I know from talking to Ray and from being on this with Ray, Ray's mentioned, you know, his stint under Mourinho, which was decent. It was. But I don't think that Lingard's going to be happy with the amount of minutes he has or that he's going to get. And I feel like when you're 28 and you're going out on loan, there's a problem there. I think when you're at a club like United, you're 28 going out on loan. That's a signal then to say, you know what, I need a fresh start. And Roddy, he did do well at West Ham, but that's West Ham. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is that no one expected West Ham last season to be as good as they were or do what they did. I wouldn't expect West Ham to have that season again this season. And you look at it and you say to yourself, you know, West Ham would be awarded a whole lot more space they would at home and away than we are when we play at home and we play away.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Against similar sides. So the space is not going to be there for Lingard that he got for West Ham at United. And again, it comes down to, is he going to force his way in ahead of Bruno? You know, ahead of Pogba if he was to stay there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think. I honestly think Pogba's going to go.
Yeah, and that's probably why Lingard's staying. Like, all he's saying that Lingard, he wants Lingard to stay. Maybe that's why. You know what I mean? Because he knows that Pogba is gone. Maybe.
I think Lingard. I know he said he's pushing on, and he's not a young player. I suppose that's his attitude, and you know, are West Ham going to do the same again next season if they lose Rice, and then if they don't have Lingard, probably not. Even if they lose Rice, would Lingard be able to hold the fort for them? Who knows? But I think one more year, and if Pogba was to go, one more year for Lingard, and he needs game time. He needs to be able to prove himself. At West Ham, I think he was let loose. You know what I mean? Go do and what you can do. At United, he's very restricted.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard one, Glenn. It is a hard one because I don't see him getting starts every game.
And that's what he wants, Rory. He's at that age where he probably should be getting that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you think back to 2018 World Cup, Jesse Lingard, England getting to the semi-final. Jesse Lingard was a big part of that.
yeah,
You look now, like 2 years later, or 3 years later, Euro 2020, there we are, like, Lingard's not in the squad. England get to the final. That'd be haunting you. And I
yeah,
think that's just basically down to the fact that he probably didn't play enough games last season. I know
yeah,
he got, January to May with West Ham and done brilliantly for them.
yeah.
But you'd have to be putting it down to the fact that he didn't play enough. And he missed out on that experience. And from what
Do
you
you think
hear,
anyone else would be in for them, Glenn? Bar West
Everton on
Ham.
him from apparently Everton on him.
That's not a bad move, now.
You know,
Well, I suppose same as West Ham, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, with West Ham, he's going to get Europa Cup, Europa League, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah, I think he would. Yeah, he'd get the Europa League. But you're looking at Everton there. Like, I don't know whether West Ham have the funds to buy him. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, what would you value him around? I mean, he'd be around. You'd want at least 30 million for him at least.
Here's what's going to happen: we'll keep him to January, and then we'll put him on loan to West Ham again.
Well, there you go. So yeah. So
no, I think if Pogba's going, keep Lingard.
Obviously, yeah. Look, you have to put a balance.
I think maybe that's what Ollie's holding out for, keeping Lingard sweet. Letting him get some game time pre-season. So moving on then, Glenn. Pereira, what are you saying about him now? You know a bit about him than me. Lazio.
Out the window.
You want him gone?
Has to leave. He has to.
Why is that now?
Well, again, he's another player. Like, he was on loan last season at Lazio. He played a bit under Mourinho, played a bit under Ollie. Didn't, do anything spectacular. Do you know what I mean? He's been on loan at Valencia now. He's been on loan at a couple of clubs already. Again, he's at that age where you're thinking, is someone going to come in and buy him this season? Probably not. It's probably going to be another loan deal for him. Which I think, as a player and at his age, to be under the contract he's under, like, do you know what I mean? And to be getting loaned out season after season. It's embarrassing, really, for him as an individual, to be coming back to pre-season and playing pre-season games, but knowing that he's not really going to be anywhere near the squad come the start of the Premier League campaign. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's looking like another loan deal for him. But if you're the club, you're trying to, get a deal over the line where we're getting something for him. I know Lazio had, first option or something like that to buy him after the loan deal. Obviously, they didn't see anything in him that would make them turn around and say, look, we want to buy him. Maybe there's a chance of another loan deal to go back to Lazio. Maybe that's on the cards. But you know what I mean? You have to take a stance then as the club and say, look, you had him on loan for the season. You want him again, pay the money. Do you know what I mean? We can't be going out of our way to do favours for clubs. Do you know that way, Luke?
But do you think this happens with a lot of players who don't make the first team and don't make the bench, that a lot of their career will be on loan? I don't think it's a new phenomenon that we're seeing here. It happens to one of those players.
No, I don't see. Like, I mean, you can look at the Chelsea youngsters. They seem to get loaned out all over the shop every year because they have a great youth system at Chelsea, and for years they weren't able to integrate them into the team. Do you know what I mean? That's looking like it's changing a little bit. But for the likes of Pereira, again, like the age he's at, you know what I mean? You want to be able to go and settle somewhere where you're happy. I'm not saying he's not happy in Manchester, but you can't be happy not playing. And again, as I said, he hasn't done anything that would turn around and make it that you can make a case to say, yeah, look, you know what I mean, keep him in the team. Do you know what I mean? I think we're weak with a minute. I don't think he's good enough to play for us. So try and move him on.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'd agree with that then. Because you made a good point there, Glenn.
Thanks.
I saw your point. I acknowledged it, and I agree with it. So moving on, my favourite player, the one and only Fred. Now, I might as well jump in here, Glenn, and say I don't want to be too hard on Fred. Actually, he's a good player. I would keep him. I would keep him, but he'd be a second player. He wouldn't be a starter. So he wouldn't be main course. He'd be a bit dessert if you needed him.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that you've said that. Yeah, you've done nothing but give Fred a bad time since we started doing this. You've never really had a good word to say about him. You've had your chance now to say whether you wanted to go or not. You've said stay.
Yeah.
Have you got any principles at all, have you? No, Roddy, I agree with you, man. I think Fred should stay.
Yeah.
I think, as you said, he's good cover. I don't think he's a United player. I've said that in the past. But he has heart and he has desire. He has an engine on him. He does give 110%. It's not always good enough. But you'd want him there as cover, maybe. He shouldn't be someone that starts every week. There's been talk about Ollie coming out saying that he wants to go 4-3-3. So he's dropping one of them DMs. So you would be happy with that. Yeah. The worrying thing in terms of that is that I don't think you really want to be reading that in the media there, that your manager has changed the formation.
No,
you'd rather just see it on the pitch, really. Do you know what I mean? And try and figure it out and let him give interviews where he's, you know what I mean?
Well,
not coming straight down saying what he's doing.
If it is the case that it's 4-3-3, Glenn, we don't see McTominay or Fred sitting in there in the middle.
Well, there's talk about pushing McTominay further up the pitch. He did score 7 goals in all competitions last season. Apparently, Ollie's, in favour of probably doing that. Again, you probably wouldn't be getting them in every single game. Do you know what I mean? But that's where we've always gotten it right in the past, is that we've had good squad rotation. Do you know what I mean? We've had players that have been willing to come in and do a job. Darren Fletcher springs to mind when you talk about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't start every game, but when he came in, he definitely made a difference. You know what I mean? He didn't have an ego to say that he had to start every game either. Do you know what I mean? Like, the dressing room seemed a little bit more controlled. There was more leadership in it, and I think that's where that leadership comes in. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a respecting the.
Do you see Fred then coming on and making a difference defensively? I think if we were shutting up shop 3-1, you'd bring Fred on 20 minutes to go.
I don't know, Rory. I feel like I'd probably go the other way around that. Like, I think of that Roma game at Old Trafford where I forget the chap's name that got in behind him. He didn't even know he was there. You know what I mean? Look at his defensive game. He's not really a defensive midfielder. I'd be putting on Fred as what?
He chases.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if you want to bring him on, you'd be bringing him on to inject that little bit of energy into the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm thinking.
I disagree there. So you're saying he can't defend, and my point was always that he can't go forward.
I think it's his energy, Marty. It's his energy. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference there, like.
But what's he doing with his energy?
Putting pressure on the ball, man. Trying to cover spaces.
That's just filling gaps. Like, that's not when you. That's not when you don't put someone on to do that when you're looking for the goal.
I don't think I'd putting on Fred to shut up shop either, though, Rory.
Well, that's an issue. What does he? That's what I'm asking.
Well, that's just the difference of opinion. You're saying that you put him.
Are you saying he can go forward and?
I'm saying that you put him on for his energy and his enthusiasm. Do you know what I mean?
You do that from the bench.
No, man. You said it yourself. He does cover a lot of ground, man. He does. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be putting him on as a sole purpose to say, listen, you stay there and put your defensive head on, because I don't think he has one, man. That's
so you're saying
I'm saying he's not good defensively.
And I'll stick Fred on. And Fred, you give the lads a bit of energy there.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to chase the ball, or if you don't want to go forward, don't go forward. And if you don't want to defend, don't go and defend. Just give them energy.
I'm not talking about Roddy. You're the one that keeps bringing going forward into it.
Well, I'm asking you
can't go forward. I'm saying I bring him on for his energy.
What does that mean, though?
That means that, if he were...
In what situation are you bringing him on, then?
Maybe if we are again, okay, fair enough. You're saying shut the game out. It's a difficult one. You're putting me on there because I'm saying because I don't think Fred's the go-to man for shutting the game out. I wouldn't
That's
trust
not
him
my
in that.
question. What situation do you bring him on for?
When you need energy, when you're there.
When is that?
When your players are on the pitch, dead on their feet, you need to bring someone
What
on.
scores again?
I don't know, Roddy, because the situation hasn't come up yet. You know what I mean?
But it's definitely not to defend.
I'm not.
That's
don't
what
put
you're
words in my
saying.
mouth.
I
Don't
don't know
put
what
words
you're
in my
saying.
mouth. I'm just saying that I wouldn't trust him to be put on to see a game out. You seen it yourself, man. What did he do against Roma, Roddy? What did he do against
You're
Roma?
telling me what
In
not
both
to do.
legs, man. In
You're telling
both
me
legs,
what
what did
not
he
to
do?
do.
What?
You're telling me not what to do with him. I want to know what would you do with him, Bart? Like, when is this energy needed? Give me a situation where this energy is needed.
When our players are at the giving everything and there's about 15 minutes left and you need to inject a bit of energy on the pitch and you need a bit of legs around you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No matter what the scoreline is.
what do you mean? Like, no matter what the
So
scoreline is?
your
Like,
players are dead on the pitch, but it's 2-1 and you have to get a draw to go through.
No, I wouldn't put him on in that defensive role. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it.
Defensive role.
I wouldn't. If we were shutting out the game, Roddy, listen to me for a second. You can't hear me.
You're not
You're
listening.
not listening.
You're not listening. My
You're not
question is not
listening.
about, you just keep going back to defensive. I said you're 2-1 down.
Listen.
You're not defensive. You need to attack.
Yeah, if I 2-1 down, I'd put him on, yeah. I'd bring him on. I'd bring him on for his energy. I would. Definitely.
Okay.
I wouldn't put him on with 10 minutes left to see a game out.
All right. So
because you'd have no nails left, Roddy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've said a couple of times that he's no defensive awareness about him. Do you know what I mean? Like, and
my big thing has always been that he isn't able to push the ball forward.
But, for Shakhtar, Roddy, when he played for Shakhtar Donetsk, he wasn't a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
He would have been more like in a 10.
We know, and Ray mentioned that. I was going to say that Ray mentioned his game against Venezuela, and I kind of watched it, and it's still, he wasn't going forward. Like, his
numbers were good.
He's making a lot of passes and giving the ball maybe to the right people. But Venezuela aren't a great team. Like, that's not a hard thing to do.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about Venezuela or anything about that the Copa de Libertadores or whatever it is. But for me, the Copa America, is it? The Copa America, sorry, did you hear me? That just goes to show you. I know nothing about South American football, but his numbers were good during that tournament. Do you know what I mean? You can't deny it. And you wonder why that is like. But for me, I think he was playing out on the left for Brazil, wasn't he? The left of the tree.
Yeah.
So you maybe try him there. But again, I wouldn't be trying him there ahead of the likes of Fernandez or that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ahead of the likes of Pogba or even McTominay. But again, if you ask me what would I put him on for, to give us a little bit of energy, you know what I mean? To see us over the line, we'd say.
Yeah,
not to protect it, I suppose. That's a difficult one, Artie. That is.
It is. No,
it's a difficult one.
That's the thing with Fred. I think it is. I don't see where this quality really lies, and maybe it's just like some of the other players. It doesn't fit into what you'd need to be great.
Yeah.
But I'm not doubting that he has good qualities and that he's a good player. So that's why I would like to see him stay within the team. Anyway, that's enough.
So basically, me and you don't know what the fuck we're talking about, yeah?
I'm saying I don't know what I would do with him.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do with him. All right, moving on. We have Dan James. So made a few appearances. Showed some good stuff. Showed some good qualities. I think getting forward there.
I'd give him another season.
Yeah, go for it again.
I'd give him another season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I mean, we seem like I think I know we can play on both sides. I think he's better coming in from the left. I do. Coming in onto his right. So out on the left. And I also think Rashford's great out on the left. I think that's Rashford's best position at the moment.
Yeah.
So, you probably need the squad rotation. So I keep Dan James there for the left hand side.
And he has the pace.
He has the pace, Roddy. He had a good Euros as well. At one stage in the Euros, he was at the creating the most chances of any player at the Euros, which is not an easy feat. I think that was after 3 games, so that's good to me. He doesn't seem like a player that would cause a lot of problems in the dressing room from not starting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't bother him, but I think he deserves maybe another season. Because when he first came in, his first season under Ollie, he done all right. At the beginning of the season, he done all right. Do you know what I mean? And then the team sort of went down. And, he never really found his form again. But there's been a couple of games where he's been decent for us. You know what I mean? And he definitely adds to that counter-attack. And you probably can't have enough of them sort of players. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't be a player you'd put on, against 2 banks of 4.
Yeah, for energy.
Really. So, I'd keep Dan James from another season coming in off that left-hand side. Because there's talk of him going to Leicester and all. Do you know what I mean? And to be honest with you, I'm a big fan of Brendan Rodgers. So if he sees something in him, you know what I mean? He obviously says that he can probably make him better, which I think he probably could. Because I think Brendan Rodgers is a good coach. I know there's a lot of Liverpool fans out there that I know that wouldn't agree with me. They think that was all down to Suarez and all the fact that Brendan Rodgers came within a hair's breadth of winning Liverpool's first league title in 23 years, 24 years, or whatever it was. But it just shows you the sense of them Liverpool fans, doesn't it, when they turn around and say it was all down to a cannibal. But keep Dan James, Roddy. What would you do with him?
Yeah, no, I'll keep him as well. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think there'll be a good relationship there with Shaw as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Roddy, he's a lot of energy as well, bro.
That's what you want. Then you want a lot of energy. You don't want players to be able to do it. You just need the energy.
It's certain types of situation you do need to bring that energy. You do, Roddy.
Yeah.
You know?
It doesn't matter what the situation is, really.
It does matter. I just can't. I can't put it. I can't. It does. I'm not in that position to say, listen, it's the last minute and I'm going to bring on Fred. Or last 10 minutes. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. But with Dan James, with the game getting stretched, if you are looking for a goal, do you know what I mean? The game's getting stretched, 2 good sides going, not it? You'd stick Dan James on with 10 minutes to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you would. Yeah. So, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So
you know what energy he's going to give you. Like you know the result. Balls into the box. Grinding your right back or left back down, whichever you're up against. I mean, exactly. I don't think for 1 second that there's anyone out there that would be a defender that's at the band playing well. And you consider like the way we like to play this season, that you'd have the defence on the rocks for maybe the whole game. That's what we're looking for. That's what I'm looking to see this season. Yeah,
if it's not happening in a particular game, and there's the left back or the right back looking on, and there's Dan James coming on, who's bags of energy and bags of pace, you're not looking forward to it.
Yeah, and he has a purpose. Like that's where we struggle with Fred. Like you can put it on Dan James straight away. What's his purpose? What's he going to do? And what's he going to bring you? Just with Fred, it's a bit unknown.
Yeah.
For our setup, anyway. Then the next one's Palestri.
Loan. Back out on loan. What?
Would you throw him back to Deportivo?
Yeah, if he wants to go back there, I know he did turn around and say that I think he did come out and say that he did want to go back there. He definitely wants to go back out on loan. He did well against Derby on the weekend, the highlights I seen, and his finish was lovely and neat. Do you know what I mean? But the problem I think he has there is probably that he is up against some stiff competition there. When you look at the likes of Greenwood out on the right hand side, you can't put Rashford there even though it's not his best position. There's Sancho at the coming in. You could have Ahmed Diallo in that position as well. Do you know what I mean? So you have to look and see where your minutes are coming from. At his age, it's probably not coming. It's more than likely not coming at United. So go back out on loan and see what you can do. But again, there's a lot of talk about this young man. Do you know what I mean? He's a big prospect. So yeah, send him back out on loan. Keep him happy. The more minutes to get, the better. Again, he's at that age where he should be loaned out. You know what I mean?
Are you saying he wouldn't be ahead of Greenwood? Same position, same age. Like what's going to change where he's going to be given that position? Or is it just squad depth? Are we talking about squad depth here?
Performances, Rory. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
it's your work in training, it's your work on match days. You know what I mean? But again, with Pellistri, I just don't think he's going to get that chance. Greenwood is making himself a mainstay really within the squad, out on the right or down the middle as the 9. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then you've Sancho in that position now. You've, as I said, you've Diallo there, you've Rashford that can play in that position. The only one I could probably see Pellistri being in front of at the moment, or having a chance to get in front of, is Diallo, who would be down the list as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so again, the kid is at a good stage where, you know, a long move of doing well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's only, what is he, 19, 20, something like that?
19, yeah.
19, so, you know, plenty of time for him to break through.
Yeah. I don't know if he scored in the league, did he?
I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me. So,
Yeah. I don't think he did now, but someone can correct us on that if they want. So then we might as well throw him into the mix. Diallo.
I think he's looked decent for us when he's played.
He has.
I have, man.
Bags of energy.
Yeah.
He does now, he does.
Yeah, and he's a bit of composure about him, Roddy. Look at that ball. He played into Dan James, he did against Wolves. The weight of the ball and all, do you know what I mean? So I'd be looking and saying, keep him.
The goals in the Europa League.
That head on the Europa League, yeah. Jesus Christ, do you know what I mean? Against Donnarumma, who won player of the tournament at the Euros, European champion, gone to PSG on a free. Don't know why we went in for him, because we're having goalkeeping issues. But I think, Diallo, stay, I think, yeah. Do you know what I mean? It'd be difficult for him. Again, it's sort of the same situation as it is for Pellistri. But, fight for your place. I looked at him, Roddy. We've said this before. He looks a bit small. You know what I mean? He doesn't look like he's a lot of muscle mass yet. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you have to get that balance right, because you don't want to lose his pace or anything, or his quickness, his sharpness. But what I'd be thinking is that, you know, he's one of them players that, to me, seems like if he was to get his chance during the season in a big moment, he could take it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the way I look at him.
Yeah.
So
I think if Pellestri's going out on loan, I'll keep him Diallo.
Yeah, definitely. There's the balance straight back up. I mean, they are in the Olympics day today, the Ivory Coast. They won 2-1. Diallo played, Bally played. So he's getting his match fitness in already.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so he could be a player that we could call on. It'd be difficult, but I reckon he's a player that'd stand up to that challenge already. Do you know what I mean? I reckon he'd want to be in that dressing room competing and seeing the players that he's competing with week in, week out, and learning from them.
Yeah,
he's a good talker. You know what I mean? I've seen him in interviews and gave a good interview to MUTV and everything. Like, he's a good head in the shoulders.
Yeah.
I want that around the dressing room.
He's not afraid to run at players, kind of like Greenwood. Like, he'll have a go at them, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. The way, you know, that playing and tiring that defence out, you know, he could be that player that you bring on. Greenwood's a bit lack of energy at some time during the end of the game. Diallo, James on the wings, you know what I mean? You crucify the team.
Yeah.
So then we're on to our last two then, Glenn. I think big names. Van de Beek, who I'm a big fan of. I think you're a big fan of as well. You have his boot there on your wall.
And his jersey.
On his jersey, yeah.
So he better stay.
He invested a lot of money in him. So at the end of the season there, he obviously got injured, couldn't play in the Euros. But he was very keen to get back to match fitness, or get up to match fitness, and was quite eager, seemed quite positive about pre-season at United and getting involved more in the team. Then there was rumours that he was going on loan. I think those rumours were shut down pretty much straight away.
Talk about Juve being in from there as well, Roddy, this week.
Juve and Madrid. Madrid was the first one, and then Juve popped up as well.
Yeah.
What would you do with him?
Look, keep him, especially if they're going into that 4-3-3 system. They're dropping the DM. There's an extra midfielder in there, you know what I mean? Attacking midfielder, Van der Beek could be that.
Yeah.
What I'm glad about Roddy is you're looking at him, he didn't have the best season. You know what I mean? What that's down to, is it down to style of play? Is it down to his lack of match sharpness, match fitness? I know Ray feels that way. We've seen it when Ray pointed that out to me, and I was like, yeah, I can see it now. Do you know what I mean? What I'm really impressed with is the fact that there's been a couple of times where, you know, there's been talk about him leaving, especially over the summer. You know what I mean? and either his agent has come out and downplayed it, or he has. Do you know what I mean? And I'm happy to hear that. He wants to try and fight for his place in the team. So why not let him? Do you know what I mean? There is a player in there. He's Dutch. Maybe this time now with a little bit of match fitness and all pre-season work. I know he's not back training with the first team. He's back at Carrington still doing a bit of stuff. But it just shows you, as soon as he was out of the Euros for the Dutch, he was back straight into Carrington and all that and getting the work done. So it shows you he's a bit enthusiastic and he wants to do well at the club. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you think back to, say, the looks of Di Maria, came in for big money, more than Van der Beek. I think it was 50-something million. Didn't have the best full season. Started off well, drowned it out, and then left the next season. Didn't want to cut it. I know people say that the house got broken into. His wife felt a bit unsafe and all that. Might be what she was feeling and everything. Yeah, but I think that was just an excuse to get out of the club, really, in terms of his wife. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure his wife wouldn't have missed him if she had been in a different country and he was in Manchester, really. Do you know that way? I just don't. Do you look at the head?
Jesus Christ, man.
What are you saying about him? He couldn't wait to get out of the club, Lord. You know, he couldn't wait. And the Van der Beek now saying, listen, I want to fight my place. You know, I don't know whether Real Madrid wanted him or not. You don't know what to believe. But Real Madrid are a huge club. You know, didn't want to go there. Juve, huge club. You know what I mean? Links there. I know his mate there, the latest there, you know what I mean? At the moment, he shut them down, his agent shut them down. So, look, all the signs are positive for Van der Beek. You know what I mean? Although this is a big season for him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but he needs a fair crack at the whip. I've heard people come around and say, but when he got his chance, he didn't really take it. That can be true, but I always maintain the fact that he knew, even if he did do well in the games that he did start, which was very little, that it didn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Because the same set team be back out for the next game, the next important game. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, definitely keep Van der Beek.
Yeah, and you're right, with the pre-season, he has a chance to fight for that position from the start.
Yeah.
I think if we are trying a new formation, that he would fit into it better. I think the one we're doing with the two in the middle, Fred, McTominay, you know, where does Van der Beek come into that? You know, I didn't see it.
He did look lost in that formation. Yeah, you could see it in him as well, couldn't you, Luke? Do you know what I mean? He didn't know when to drop deep. Then he was up, sort of just standing in the front line, like, do you know what I mean? Like, but then there was games where you could see his movement off the ball did create problems for defenders. You know what I mean? Like, so if he can get him pushed further up the pitch, who knows? But it's definitely something that we should be looking for.
The style coming from Ajax was very different, and I think it maybe took him by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, well, they told football over there, Rory. Do you know what I mean? Like, they would be 4-3, really. Do you know that way? Like, they don't really differ from man like that over there. So to come in where you're playing two players in the defensive midfield positions, and then you're up against Bruno and everything, who seemed for a long time, you know, couldn't do anything wrong. Not that he did, but you know what I mean? Like, when he's at it, he's at it. So when you've only room for one, Bruno was always going to get it. So I look forward to seeing Van der Beek this season. I look forward. His attitude so far, and it hasn't gone his way, has been exceptional, if that makes sense. So what would he be like if he was doing that?
He's one of the... That's what I'm probably most excited about, was seeing a bit more of Van der Beek and what he can bring and that potential that he has. And the last one is an injury that we had, an injured player, Martial. So he took up an injury. Then we saw the best Cavani, I suppose, after that. But Martial couldn't go to the Euros either because of that injury. I'm not sure what the status is on that actually at the moment. Is he coming back for pre-season?
He's still injured. He's training with Van der Beek at Carrington. He is. They should be available soon. Yeah, there is. But this is a difficult one, Rory. Like, do you know what I mean? He was the most expensive teenager he was when we bought him. And I think he's only got 20 goals or over 20 goals in one season, which is not good enough. And I was a huge Martial fan. I really was. But last season, for whatever reason, he didn't look interested. And I don't think you can carry players like that. You know what I mean? You need everyone to be pulling in the right direction. And I just felt like last season, you know, even with Cavani there, Martial got a lot of chances to start up front. It didn't really go his way. I know he did a great game against Man City away at the Etihad. He did. He
Mm.
done everything right that game. I felt it. You know what I mean? Like he won the penalty that we scored that Bruno put away inside the first couple of seconds. He held the ball up. He won free kicks when we were coming under a lot of pressure on that second half. He won them at the right time and everything. Do you know what I mean? So you look at that and you say there's a player in there, but how are you going to get him to produce week in, week out? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would keep him for this season. I would. I'd like to see how he reacts to the likes of Sancho coming into the team and all. Do you know what I mean? I think we need to be able to rotate our attacking players as well. Do you know what I mean? Give the opposition something different to think about. You know what I mean? The last thing I want is for the opposition to know who's starting every game. Do you know what I mean? You want everyone fighting for them positions and to give Ollie something to think about and for Ollie to give the opposition something to think about. So I'd give one more season, I would. Do you know what I mean? But if it's not working out, and I think we'll know pretty quick if it's not working out, then he should be on his way. But yeah, I'd keep for the season.
I'd agree with you there. I'd keep him. I think you're right. There was a bit of an attitude problem. Could have been fatigue as well, because the attitude problem kind of came just before the injury. So maybe it wasn't an attitude problem at all. But good player, Glenn, gets into good spots in the box, scored some good goals from those positions. Maybe Cavani can have a bit of influence on him now. We've seen what Cavani can do. I
want. Do you know what? I want Martial to be thinking in his head, that position is mine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I want them to hate Cavani or anything, but you want them, like, for me right now, if you were to pick United starting 11 and you were to pick the number 9, you'd be saying Cavani. You'd say Cavani in front. So Martial should take that, you know what I mean, and be like, right, I'm going to force my way into this team. How do you do that? When you get your chance, you take it. You want to see him score more goals, but you want to see him, assisting more people and all, walking more off the ball. And I think, this season is the last straw for him, really. Do you know what I mean? I can't see him going anywhere because we've paid 58 million for him.
Yeah.
When you include the add-ons and all, Roddy, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, keep for this season and see where he goes. Do you know what I mean? But the interesting one for me is, Roddy, is I mean, probably should have started with this one. But it's the goalkeeping situation. Who do you keep out of that? You look, Lee Grant, 4-choice goalkeeper, signed a new 1 year deal. You have Tom Hinton had to coming back to the club. You have Henderson there, and now you have De Gea. I mean, like, when I say Tom Hinton coming back, I was thinking that must mean either Henderson or De Gea is going. I mean, why else do you have 4 goalkeepers?
Yeah.
But with De Gea, and Henderson, we'll put them together, right? Let's put them together. So the question is, who do you keep out of De Gea and Henderson? You have to let one go, right? You have to let one go.
Yeah. Was it Heaton in goal against Derby there?
He started in goal, he done the first half, and then Grant came in for the second half. Now, Heaton made 2 good saves against Derby. Do you know what I mean? He is a solid keeper, Roddy. He's solid. He was unlucky with injuries. He was at Burnley and he used to have the games of his life against us. He did. At Old Trafford, especially. I remember him saving a volley from 6 yards out against Ibrahimovic. It hit him in the arm. And I actually thought Ibrahimovic broke his arm with the power of it. You know what I mean? We just couldn't get out and buy him. He was unlucky. He went to Aston Villa then and got injured. And they got Martinez off Arsenal, who was proved to be a great goalkeeper. I don't know why Arsenal let him go. Yeah. And, he's had to coming back to us. I don't see him playing that much, to be honest with you. But, again, he's a solid goalkeeper. Lee Grant won't get anywhere here.
Why do you think he's making that move then? Because he knows what's going on at United. It's not like...
He came through the United ranks. It's sort of like he's coming home. I think, looking at him and just looking at his interviews over the years, I don't think he's looking to come to do, say, what Lee Grant is doing, knowing that, look, I'm there to train with goalkeepers. Do you know what I mean? Like, I make the numbers up for goalkeeper training, pick up a wage packet. I don't think Keaton to think like that. I think he's come back to think that he does have a chance to push the likes of Henderson and De Gea on. And if you look at both De Gea and Henderson, if you're Tom Heaton, you'd be probably thinking right now, I can't do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that number 1 spot up for grabs for me as well? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'd say it is, because I'd be putting De Gea in first, but I don't think Henderson proved himself enough. I think if he had got time in the Euros and something good had come of that, then maybe, but I mean, I don't think he did enough last season to say that he was number one. And De Gea was actually, it was reported he was quite upset that Henderson was staying on, and that challenge was going to continue
This season and last season.
this season. Yeah.
Yeah, well, look, from here, the problem is, look, you look at De Gea, right? And I'm going to say it now. I'd like to see De Gea start as number one this season. I do.
Yeah.
Okay, the last 18 months have been dreadful, like, but I think he needs another chance. An arm around the shoulder. The way the season ended for him, got back into the team, couldn't save a penalty and missed a penalty. Like, you don't want your legacy to go down as that. I wouldn't like to see him go out like that. And you look at it as well, like he's one player of the year. I think he's watched it 3 or 4 times. Like, do you know what I mean? For a goalkeeper at United to do that, it's unheard of, and it should never happen, Roddy.
Yeah.
A goalkeeper should never be winning that award at United, considering the players that we've had in the past: George Best, Ronaldo, Beckham, Rooney, Cantona, all them fucking players. Goalkeepers shouldn't be winning it. And then you think of the likes of Peter Schmeichel and Van der Sar have won European Cups with the club. Do you know what I mean? Van der Sar's the clean sheet record. The point I'm trying to make is that, you know, the last from 2013 onwards, that De Gea has had a difficult time in terms of the club were under decline. He didn't really have a settled back four in front of him. When he did, they weren't good enough. Phil Jones, Smalling. Smalling's decent as you know, a squad depth player. I think he's 1 or 2 games, I would say 5 decent.
Yeah.
He'll always have that run where he's not. Do you know what I mean? Every season.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can hold it against him from his declining form. Do you know what I mean? I think Henderson coming in and stating down what he was going to do, that the number 1 spot was there, I think that put a bit of pressure on De Gea for the first time in a long time. I don't think he reacted to that well. But at the same time, I think we'd be fooled to think that Henderson's the way to go as number 1. I really don't. Yeah. I've said that before. And I think Henderson's been really clever this year, Rory. I do. I think he's out injured with a hip injury. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Personally, I don't. I think he pulled out the England squad because he knew that he wasn't going to be starting in any of the games. And I think he looked at this as a chance to get back into pre-season as quick as he can to stake a claim for that.
You don't think he was going to start in England?
No, I don't. I look at Gareth Southgate and what he done with the England team and the players that he brought, the likes of Trippier and all, like, do you know what I mean, starting him at left back and everything against Croatia. The players that he had with him in 2018 in the World Cup and 2020, he genuinely he went with them, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think he was going to go with Pickford no matter what. Do you know what I mean? Because he started all the qualifiers and everything. So I think he was going to go with him, and I think Henderson knew that. Look, Henderson's name wasn't really mentioned. I don't remember Henderson's name. I could be wrong, but I don't remember his name being mentioned really with the England squad that much.
It was towards the start, but yeah, then after, yeah. I suppose.
But I mean, in terms of number 1 goalkeeper, even last season, like, I just don't think it was ever out there that he was going to be number 1. And I could be wrong, Roddy. Like, I know he definitely has an injury, and he was probably distraught that he had to pull out of that squad considering what he did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I just think he probably looked at it and says, "A chance for me to get out of here, get me hips sorted out, and get back to pre-season straight away, without going through a month of football without playing."
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I keep the hair I would, and I'd like to probably see with Henderson. He's at an age now where you're saying you want to loan him out. I'd probably put in a deal where you're probably looking to get a bit of money for him, but you could probably turn around and say that it's an investment. Put it in his contract that we have forced buyback on him or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, get into a club, say, right, there's a 5-year deal or a 3-year deal. That's all. We can take him back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
because what's the Gea now? What age is he? He's kind of pushing on.
I think he's 30 now. I think he's around 30, 31, maybe 29, 30, 31. That's what he is.
I think you're right, dude. I think if you saw Henderson coming back in 2 or 3 years after playing with a good team, you know, maybe
you'd see where he is, Roddy. You'd see where he is. Look, I don't honestly. I'm telling you, I don't think he's good enough for us. I think if Ollie goes down the route of picking Henderson, I think he's at the bank can't. That's what I'd say.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that and if it didn't work out with Henderson being number 1, and it was a mistake, it makes Ollie look really weak. It's a huge decision. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I know it's something that he won't take lightly either, but just give the hair a shot. Do you know that way? Give him a little bit of confidence.
Yeah. I think that's what he will go with, though.
Well, I just think, I don't know what people are saying now. Well, look, the last 18 months has been terrible, but I just think we owe him that. We do. Just one more. Again, it's like Martial. It's do or die. I mean, you're either gonna, come good or you're not. But I'm hoping that we are looking down the line for a decent goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if we seen Tom Heaton start a couple of games already. I wouldn't. I think goalkeeping could be here to Achilles heel this year. I do. If it doesn't work for De Gea, I don't think it's definitely not going to work for Henderson. There will be mistakes in there that will cost us games with Henderson and goal. I know De Gea's made them mistakes as well. But I
Keepers
think
make mistakes. Like, we can't.
that's a lonely place.
That's the thing. If we say De Gea makes 2 mistakes, say, in 3 games, is that it? Like, then everyone's like, oh, he's not good enough. Get Henderson in. It's like that's where we're gonna have that lack of morale, lack of confidence in our goalkeeper. Because then Henderson could come on, make 2 woeful mistakes, and then we're like, what are we saying then?
That's the prop. That's what I'm trying to say to you, Roddy. That it could be our Achilles heel. I think all he did give De Gea a huge run of games when he was making a couple of mistakes. I don't think he put Henderson in straight away. Do you know what I mean? But then when he did, we had to keep Henderson in for a while again. I think Henderson had a couple of good games for us, but I don't think it was anything that you'd be saying, yeah, he's definitely the number one. Do you know that way?
Yeah.
And that's where there's all this talk from Henderson's camp about wanting to be England number one, want to be United number one. He's a United fan and all that. That's great. All that's great. But did he really stake a claim? Did he? Did he impress you to the point where you were like, yeah, we're in safe hands here? I mean, I'm not going to bring up that Liverpool goal, but I am. Do you know what I mean? Like, for anyone that's seen it, the Salah goal, that's what worries me the most.
What did he do, Glenn? Go on, tell us again.
Well, he first of all, what he done was he turned his back on Salah when Salah was running through and ran back to his line, and then didn't cut the angle off. Stood there looking tiny in the goal. To be honest with you, you back Salah in them positions 9 times out of 10, but how easy do you want to be made? Do you know that way? Yeah. So for me, I'd keep De Gea and I'd sell Henderson with a buyback clause.
Okay, that's a complicated one, isn't it? I would suppose we have Heaton in now. I'd keep him. I would keep him.
Who?
Henderson.
All right.
We would. I think, De Gea could have an injury. Something could come up. Do we really want to rely on Heaton?
Yeah. I think, as I said, I think Heaton's a solid goalkeeper. I do.
Yeah.
I feel like there's an issue where you've both De Gea and Henderson there already, where both of them are going for number one, and I suppose you want a bit of competition, but none of them have been really able to,
I think all he needs to come out to start the season and say De Gea is number one, so that we know that even if De Gea is not doing well, he's number one, because it's just going to create confusion. The defense is not going to that'll ripple through the team. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be a bit of structure and consistency. And
do you think Ollie's been afraid to do that? Do you think Ollie's been afraid to do that when it's came to the goalkeeping issue? Because since Henderson's came back, there's been lots of talk about the goalkeeping issue, but we've never really gotten a straight answer out of Ollie. Do you know what I mean? Of all them goalkeeping questions, we still don't know.
Ollie seems to enjoy that it's unclear and that there's a battle going on. But I think it's to the point where it's getting a bit, it's affecting the team, or it's affecting the defence, or it's affecting how the goalkeeper's mentality in the game, because they don't know where they stand. And I think if Henderson knew that he was second goalkeeper, then he just have to accept it.
Roddy, you have to make a great point there, because when you look at, say, the back four, if you're Harry Maguire, if you're Lindelof, hopefully Varan, if you're them, you want to know that when a shot leaves a player's foot, my keeper has a chance of saving that. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be in a situation where you're defending and you're hoping that every shot you know what I mean, isn't good enough to beat your goalkeeper. Do you know that way, like, because you don't want to be in a situation where every shot you're thinking, oh, because it just panics you. So I think that the whole back four need a bit of stability, and they need to know who the number one goalkeeper is, and they need to be working themselves, goalkeeper, back four, in distribution.
It's like that penalty situation when we didn't know who was the penalty taker, and Ollie's response to it was, "Oh, they figure it out themselves when they're on the pitch. Depends who's feeling up for it and who's not." Like,
I remember that, man. Yeah,
that's not how it works, man.
It's not management, man. It's not management.
That's letting the players kind of
dictate,
have the run, like, you know.
That's a great point, Roddy. Yeah, man.
There was a few of them, wasn't there? There was like 3 or 4 of them that were stepping up to take a penalty one day.
There was Rashford, there was Pogba. Do you know what I mean? You had to go in between them, you did. Then you had Martial then involved as well. Do you know what I mean? He was a little bit more further down the line. And it was only that Bruno came in and sort of basically took that over himself. Do you know what I mean? Like, with the way he has this stance, the hop, the skip, and the jump.
Yeah.
And I think they just looked at it and says, right, we'll give it to him. But Roddy, you're right there, man.
I think there has to be more to Harry Maguire.
Oh, what a penalty, man! Yeah.
I mean, if he told you where he was going to put that ball, you weren't saving it.
No.
In the middle of the goal.
You wouldn't have believed him either.
Yeah, you wouldn't have.
That's the last play. I'm telling you, I never thought the way he hit it. He sort of hit it with the outside of his foot as well. Do you know what I mean? Like
We didn't like that. They kept showing the replay of the ball hitting the camera. We actually wanted to see what it was like from a different angle.
The trajectory,
yeah.
Roddy, I'd say that shot in, man. Do you know what I mean? Look, we'll say again, Donnarumma was in. He's huge in that.
Yeah.
I'd say if he lured across the post, he'd be nearly touching the other one. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't be far off.
But Maguire's confidence is on a high. I'm actually looking forward to seeing him come back into United and create a bit of stability, what we're talking about in that defence. I think he has it. He has it now. He's a bit iffy at the start, maybe the season last year, but
I think the turning point for Maguire, Roddy, was the Everton game. When Everton scored in the last minute to make it 3-3. And you're looking at Maguire looking across the line, doesn't know whether to step up or drop off and all, do you know what I mean? I think that was a turning point for him. After that, I think he got his act together and I think he raised the standard. And I think we've seen that even after he picked up an injury, I think it was against Aston Villa, I think. So in the end of the season, anyway, he done his ligaments in. We missed him in that Europa League final, big time. We missed him against Fulham as well. We missed him against Leicester. Maybe probably wouldn't have started that game, but we did miss him against teams like that. And you look at the way he came into the England side, do you know what I mean? 2 games into the competition, he started in that 3rd game. And he didn't look out of place.
No,
so I wanted to take that, as you said, take that form in. If you were to get Varan in for him, Roddy, as well, do you know what I mean? There's your pace to cover around, for his lack of pace.
That's
and I'm sure that Maguire will be able to dig Varan out of a couple of holes as well, man. There's a huge partnership there, so you're dead right. Let's keep Harry Maguire, in that rich vein of form, and I think he'll want to do that as well, Roddy. I do.
Big time.
I think we're going to be solid this season. It's just a goalkeeping issue that's annoying me, man. I think we're going to be solid. I do. I'm pumped. I can't wait for the start of the season. Like, I really can't.
We'll leave it at that, Glenn, because we went through our list, and keep allowing ourselves. It was a good bit of crack, and now we know how you feel about most of the players, including Fred. Well, actually, I don't know how you feel about Fred. That wasn't very clear at all.
Energy. I don't have many times I have to say it. Energy.
One word.
It's energy. I don't know. It's this heat that's getting to me. Oh, yeah, I'm sweating buckets here talking to you. Honestly, this short is stuck to me.
We need to be doing these podcasts outside, I'm telling you.
Stop.
Well, anyone listening in, you can follow us on Facebook at The Devil's Bit, and on Instagram and Twitter as well. And you can find the podcast on all the spots. So you have Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, and you can get us on YouTube as well if you want to see our faces as we talk. I don't know why you're going to do that, but it's up to yourself. So listen, Glenn, I love you and I'll leave you until next week.
See you later, man. Yeah.